uh, we would like to have all the communication and discussions through channel of English language so that it becomes uniform rather than talking in various vernacular languages. So mode of communication will remain English during the seminar. My advice and guideline to all the listeners and viewers is, as a rule number one, please kindly mute your audios, because if your audio is on, there will be a lot of disturbance to the presenter and our guest speaker will not be able to focus. Kindly mute your audio especially. Rule number two is do not interrupt the guest speaker in between the presentation. If you have your questions, kindly note down and send your questions into the chat box. After the presentation, we will take up all the questions one by one from the chat box. Third thing is, still, if you don't have a question or if you want to contribute something and if you want to give your viewpoints on the current pandemic situation in Nigeria, if you want to share your experience or if you want to contribute something for the benefit of our Indian community and society, please raise your hand. We will invite you after the guest speaker's presentation. These are few guidelines and code of conduct for our medical webinar. Bhai or Beno, ladies and gentlemen, just sit back, relax and enjoy the webinar. Now I'll request our SABHA coordinator, Shri Ramesh Biswalji, for the welcome address.
Thank you, Chief Groverji, for giving me this opportunity to welcome the address to the all audiences here. Namaste. An excellent and wonderful good morning, and also in some parts of the globe are good evening to one and all. It is my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of SABHA. SABHA is an organization of Indian community in Nigeria, which is conducting its 24th People's Awareness Webinar today. SABHA has been conducting the webinars in the past 10 months to create awareness among the community members, especially during the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, and to adjust ourselves with the new normals along with the second wave of COVID-19 in order to manage this huge crisis. Firstly, allow me to welcome His Excellency, the High Commissioner of India to Nigeria, Sri Abhay Thakurji, represented by Sri Rachit Rawatji. He is the head of Chancery, High Commissioner of India in Lagos. And also Sri Bipul Misaria, he is the first secretary political at the Indian High Commission to Nigeria in Abuja, and the second secretary, Sri Ajay Sharmaji, at Lagos Indian High Commission Office. Sir, you are all welcome to this platform of SABHA for these webinars. Let me welcome our guests of the day, especially our guest speaker, Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra, who is an excellent, experienced neurosurgeon known for his special surgeries for conjoints of Jagabalia in the Odisha. Everybody is known by Jagabalia's conjoint surgeries, which has been done by Dr. Mahapatra. He is also ex-dean of AIMS New Delhi, ex-director of AIMS Bhubaneswar. Actually, the Bhubaneswar AIMS has been constructed by him from the beginning till date. Presently, he is the Vice Chancellor of SOA University of some hospitals. He is the most experienced in his field and very much well aware of the COVID-related matters, treatment and vaccinations. The details of the introduction will be given very shortly. Sir, you are welcome to this most needed webinar of the SABHA platform at this juncture of the time. And it is highly needed in Lagos because Lagos is going in the second wave at a very high speed. There are so many casualties are coming up. So we need your advices and guidances. SABHA welcomes all the members of Indian community from all over the globe. SABHA now would like to welcome the President of Indian Cultural Associations, President of Indian Women's Associations, Presidents of Indian Professional Forums, Also, Sabha welcomes the principal of Indian language schools and their trustees, students and parents. All are welcome to this webinar. Sabha also welcomes all its in-house members, the Indian Samajams, presidents and all organization heads. So they are namely Assamese Cultural Association of Nigeria, Bangio Parishad Empowerment Foundation, Bhojpuri Global Foundations, Indian Muslim Association of Nigeria, Jain Samaj, Jhulelal Sindhi Samaj, Kannada Sangha, Kerala Sangha, Maharashtra Mandal, Mahatma Gandhi Social and Cultural Associations, Oriya Samaj, Rajasthan Samaj of Nigeria, Seri Punjab Associations, Tamil Association of Nigeria, Telugu Association of Nigeria, Tulukota, Lagos, UBAS, Afro-Asian initiatives for community development, Rotary Club of Lagos Island, Rotary Club of Lagos Palm Grove Estate, Gift for Life in Africa, Harmony Music, Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangha, Indian Ayappa Bhakt Mandal, Indo Eye Care Foundations, Nanak Darbar Mission Sangha, Seva Internationals, Social Welfare Trust of Indians, Saurya Yatra Artist Associations, the Art of Living Foundations, Yoma Waves, Urja Foundations, Gita Ashram, Hindu Mandir Foundations. Sabha welcomes all its committee members who are putting their hard works to this mission and also its mentors, Sri Siva Subramaniam, Chief Anil Gopwani and Dinesh Rathiji. Sabha also welcomes all the leaders and members of corporate houses and Indian community and Nigerian community members to this webinar. My apologies if I have not mentioned any name which is not in which is purely unintentional. Once again, my hearty and warm welcome to each one of present here for this most awaited webinars. Before I conclude, let me update the Sabha initiatives which were done in the support of all of you present here, all the Indian communities available in Nigeria. To make it brief, Sabha has taken the activities of setting up isolation cum treatment center for COVID patients with Association of Indo Eye Care Foundation and with the support of all Sabha members and Indian community members, corporate houses. So it has been done in a record time of 75 days. In the first phase, it has been delivered in the month of July and we have closed down by December 1st. But unfortunately, with the second wave of COVID, we have reopened instantly with the help of committee members on 13th of January. Till now, we have treated 105 patients. Out of that, 72 has been successfully delivered. They have gone to house. They are having the good life. So this is one of the biggest community service project which has been delivered in the Nigeria for the first time with unconditional and undivided support of the whole Indian community to achieve the initiatives of Sabha. Therefore, once again, Sabha extends appreciations to all the supporters and donors of the initiatives. Sabha is also thankful to all members and also to each and every committee members without whose support the initiatives could have. Sabha's initiative of creating awareness amongst community members through people's webinar as guest the great success and most effective till now. As mentioned earlier, Sabha has completed 23 webinars and going to have 24th webinar today with the most and well-known experienced Dr. Professor Ashok Kumar Mahapatra, who will speak us very shortly, which is our 24th webinar. Without taking much time, once again, Sabha welcomes all to these webinars. Thank you all for joining in such a huge number to this awareness webinar. Thank you. Chief.
Shukriya, Bishwalji. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's my privilege to invite Shri Rachit Rawatji on behalf of Sabha so that he can come forward and address all the Indian citizens here in Nigeria as well as abroad. Shri Rachit Rawatji. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Praveenji, Rachit Rawatji is not unmute.
Yeah, thank you again. A very good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Along with my colleagues, Shri Ajay Sharma ji and Shri Vipul Masaria ji from Abuja, are pleased to attend and be representing the mission today for today's webinar. Would like to greet Dr. Mahapatra, especially SABHA coordinators and working committee members, leaders from different Indian associations, members of Indian community, whether in Lagos, other cities in Nigeria or abroad, and all the other friends of India. Without taking much of time, would like to really commend the work of SABHA, which they have been doing over the previous weeks and months, including the isolation center, the timely webinars, the awareness campaigns, provision of oxygen cylinders, ambulance, free food services, etc. In each and SABHA, along with all the Indian associations and members of the community, have come together in these challenging times to help each other in the meager way which is possible, and extend help not only to India alike. Would like to again commend Sabha for this great initiative. Without taking much of the time, I would like to thank Dr. Mahapatra for agreeing to come and address the Indian community here, and wish you all a very productive and insightful webinar. And I would just like to end by saying this Sanskrit, a few Sanskrit words which you all may be aware of, which is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha and Sarve Santu Niramayaha. With this hope that all be happy and all be free from illnesses. Wish you all a very productive webinar. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rachitji. Shukriya. Now I'll request our Sabha coordinator, Shri Praveenji, to formally introduce our guest speaker to all the audience. Praveenji, over to you.
Namaste, sir. Sir, my voice is clear?
Yes.
Okay. So, let me introduce Dr. A.K. Mahapatra. Professor Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra was born at Puri on 29 December 1952. His father was Mr. Navakishore Mahapatra and mother Dinamani Devi, stayed in a Brahmin village session near Puri. In childhood, they have a simple life. However, they had landed and the family belongs to the advisor to Puri king. Sri Gajpati Maharaj shifted to MKCG Medical College in 1970, where he completed MBBS in 1975, MS and MCH Neurosurgery from AIIMS Delhi. From 1983 to 2017, he worked as a faculty of neurosurgery at All India Medical Institute and Science, Delhi. In 1996 March, he joined as professor and 2004 as a senior professor. He was appointed director, Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences, Lucknow in 2006 and director AIIMS Bhubaneswar in 2012. He retired as Dean Research, AIIMS New Delhi, after spending nearly 52 years at AIIMS. Currently, he is working as Vice President at SOA University, deemed to be University at Bhubaneswar. During his tenure at AIIMS, he published 870 papers, wrote 16 books, and more than 140 chapters. In last 30 years, he conducted over 20 research projects and received over 10 crores as research grant. He guided 12 PhD students during his tenure at AIIMS. During 1998-2008, He had a third highest medical publication in India and highest number of publications at AIIMS. He has 870 publications with more than 13,500 citations and H index 50 and I-10 index 355. During his illustrious career, he had worked as director of SGPGI for 3 years in 2026 to 2009. During 3 years, he had successfully completed more than 10-12 projects and started at completed second phase of SGPGI 2006-2009, during which he received budget worth of 1,000 crores. Completed 1. School of Telemedicine, 2. Liver Transplant Center, 3. BMT Center, 4. Advanced Pediatric Center, 5. PMSSY Building, 6. Nursery College, 7. College of Medical Technology, 8. During his tenure, Library Block, Convention Center, Complex Trauma Center constructions started and completed. PMSSY building started and completed first to get completed project of PMSSY in India 2007-2008. During his tenure, 6 department started in SGPGI, Hospital Administration, Pediatric Surgery, Pulmonary Medicine, Maternity and Reproductive Health, Nanotology and Molecular Medicine. The work and progress made at SGPGI during 2006-2009 was unparalleled. He was the founder director of AIIMS Bhubaneswar, started 2012, starting from scratch. MBBS, BSc Nursing Honors, PG and DMMCH was started in a 4th year period between 2012-2016. He also started BSc Honors Medical Technology at AIIMS Bhubaneswar in 2015. In last 40 years, Dr. Mahapatra received award, 65 award, delivered 15 orations and received many lifetime achievement award. A fellow of National Academy of Science, a member of the Academy of Medical Sciences. He started Neurological Surgeon Society of India in 2010, became the founder president. He also started Indian Society of Peripheral Nerve Surgery in 2011 and was the founder president. He contributed heavily to the development of pediatric neurosurgery from 1989 to 2012, and peripheral nerve surgery 2010-2018. Thus, he has been architect of developing super specialization in India, staying as a faculty of AIIMS Delhi over 37 years. Sir, welcome you, sir, in this webinar.
Thank you, Parveen ji.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you and good afternoon to all those who are in Asian countries. It is indeed a great pleasure that I have to deliver the 25th webinar of the SABHA. Dr. Grover, Mr. Biswal, Dr. Praveen, our consulate, Mr. Rawat, and all other senior officials of the consulate, the members of SABHA, members of the representative of the different organizations of Nigeria, and my friends across the globe. It is indeed a great pleasure that we are talking about a topic in which most of us are ignorant, because there are many things to learn that what we have known in the last 10 months or so. So we cannot tell that we know everything because it is experimentation. Can you hear? Can you hear?
Yes, yes.
So if you look at the pandemic, if you look at the malaria, it is there for 3,500 years. If you look at the plague, it is for 4,000 years, and we could conquer smallpox in 1977, probably after 4,000 years. If you look at the pandemic of plague between 1331 to 1347, about 120 million people died in the world. 1/3 of the Europe's population died during the plain pandemic of 1331 to 1347. If you look at the pandemic in 1918, the Asian flu that killed almost over 120 million. But fortunately, we did not have a pandemic of such nature in last 100 years. We had a pandemic in 2001, 2002, and 2003, that is SARS-1, and we also had a swine flu pandemic 2008 to 2010. During that period of 3 years or 4 years, it could be confined to most of the Eastern Asian countries like China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and it did not spread. Even it did not have such an impact in India. So we did not have to do much. This is a pandemic which very rapidly spread across the world, from North Pole to South Pole, from East to West, from rich to poor, from democratic country to non-democratic country, and involved from the king to the poorest man, from prime minister to peon, and from the billionaires to the beggars. The question is that this pandemic has told us how helpless is the human being in the face of a virus which is 10 to the power minus 9 of a millimeter. And what is the scientists presume? Maybe 2 grams of virus can infect entire world. So we are talking something which is unimaginable. That is why people have become panicky. Second thing, it is the rich countries like US, Western Europe, UK, Italy, France, Spain has been very, very seriously affected. More importantly, we do not have when this is going to disappear, and there are several waves, and as scientists we believe in last 1 year 400 mutations must have undergone over this virus. Here I must mention it is a common cold. Flu is a common cold, and over last 100 years there are 200 different viruses which has been responsible for causing flu. It could be Asian flu, Spanish flu, Middle East flu, swine flu, SWAS, and also bird flu, anything like that. So we know these viruses are much smarter than human beings, and when the scientists can take 10 to 15 years to develop a vaccine, the virus can mutate within few weeks. Now the scientists from UK are telling there is a virus which is detected in December, probably has further mutation. And when we studied the virus, those who came from the Gujarat and Bombay to Ganjam, and those who came from Delhi to Calcutta to maybe Baleshwar, Bhadrak and Cuttack are different. The ICMR studied the genome, ICMR Bhubaneswar studied the genome of the species, and we could find the virus in Ganjam was different genomically, the virus in Cuttack, Bhubaneswar and Baleshwar. So we know we have a diversity of the virus, we have a diversity of disease, and we have people of different status, financial condition involved in this pandemic. So we all know. So what we don't know, when the pandemic is going to die. If we look at the history from last 3,000 years, pandemic never dies. But people become smarter and braver, and they live with disease. So I had given a slogan in month of May, Corona ko darona. Don't get afraid of Corona, because we have to follow the dictum. We have to face and fight against the disease rather than becoming depressed and demoralized. So what I am showing, how was the world about a years back? We were very healthy. World was healthy. Most of the nations are growing a GDP between 7, 5 to 10, 11%, and we are so happy. world is progressing 21st century. And we are looking that maybe by 2040, we will achieve the target of 22nd century. But to our surprise, we had the third world war in the form of COVID-19. What is COVID? It's a coronavirus disease, which is RNA virus. And this virus is a very small virus particle of 20 base pair and has a weight of 10 to the power minus 9 of a milligram. So the question is this virus is so dangerous? Yes, it's so dangerous. Our mouth has about 5,000 virus, 5,000 germs, and our colon has about millions of organisms, which are many of them helpful and many of them harmful. So world was healthy, economically stable, and normal life is peaceful and happy in December 2019. And we know the coronavirus, corona means crown. This virus has a crown from which the spikes come out. The first diagnosed in 1994. So coronavirus is nothing new, but it has so many mutations. The novel coronavirus of 2019 is another form of corona species, which is further named as SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. Because it is 2019, we found this virus, but this virus, coronavirus, is 20 to 30 years old. Next slide. So we know that many things we don't know. Where from it came, how did it came from birds, or maybe from the bat to the human being. We know that human to human transmission. Initially, all of us thought it is only small droplet. When you talk to each other, droplet can go to 2 to 3 feet, and by droplet infection, you can prevent if you keep a distance of 3 to 4 feet. But then we understood it is not only a droplet infection, it can also happen through airborne disease, so that the small droplet can go up a distance of 20 feet, and it can also go through the contamination of a hand and the material which is contaminated with the virus. It can enter the gut and produce diarrhea. So this virus is called now COVID-19. And what is the status today? In last 1 year, 1.5 million people in the world have suffered. 2.26 million people have died. India has over 11 million people suffered, and 1.6, it is 1.57 lakhs have suffered, died. If you look at my state, 3.5 lakh people have suffered and 17,000 people have died. Only good thing in India that our mortality has gone down from initial 2.5% to 1.4% the entire India. And for my state of Odisha, it is 0.4%. The number which was peaked in month of October, September, October in India, going up to 1.2 lakh and death going up to 1,500, now has come down. The yesterday is 10,000 something and death was 105. So now in February, first week of corona in India is between 10 to 12,000 and death is between 100 to 110. So we have some way control, whether natural process or by our tremendous effort of lockdown, shutdown, mass, social distancing, and shutting down all the transport, trains, civil aviation, taxi, everything. We don't know, but somewhere or other, we have achieved the control at the moment in India, where the infection rate has gone down below the 10%, what was at the time of the peak. So we are happy. But when you are telling there is second wave, third wave, fourth wave, we have many questions. Is the wave is coming back to India? Are you going to have the mutated strain? How dangerous it will be? So we have many questions for we don't have answer. Now, if you look at the 6-7 most affected countries, it is US, the most affluent, most scientifically advanced, number one financial market of the world, New York. So it means that it doesn't mean that poor is suffering and rich doesn't suffer. A man with wealth cannot suffer and something like that. This doesn't happen like that. It is a virus. It doesn't discriminate between rich, poor, or the have or the have-nots. The Brazil, we are seeing currently what is happening. India, number 3. UK has crossed more than 1 lakh death, which is number 3. Mexico, Russia, and many other countries. So here I have shown a slide. The Odisha has done tremendously well. Before the pandemic was declared by WHO on 11th of March, we as Odisha prepared that we have mentally prepared the doctors and nurses. If a pandemic spread to India, Odisha, what we'll do? We have trained our staffs because there was time we have to, in my hospital, we had 2,250 beds, COVID beds in 6 different locations of some hospital. And in middle of September, October, all 2,200 beds are full. At Bhubaneswar, out of 250 ventilators, we did not have a single left for any serious patient coming in the midnight. So we are now much better situation. And if you look at the Odisha, initially it looked that Kerala is managing the pandemic well, but it looked that Odisha, the mortality rate is 0.04%. So we have 0.4% mortality. So the action taken by the Mr. Naveen Patnaik was applied by the WHO, UNICEF, and government of Odisha. So many steps which are taken was not imaginable because he gave the power to the Sarpanch to have the district magistrate power who can utilize the immigrant people for quarantine in school buildings, giving them food, shelter, and medicine. So many things happen. So it was good that we could control to some extent. What is this pandemic? It is very, very, very simple to understand. It's an upper respiratory tract infection. Start with throat. It goes to the respiration. It damages the lungs. It damages the oxygen saturation. When the oxygen saturation falls, brain, liver, kidney, and other organs also suffer. During this process of pathogenesis, large number of chemicals are secreted, which in medical term we say cytokine. So there is a cytokine storm. These cytokine also go to the various organs and block the blood vessels. So there's 2 ways of damaging of the organs. One is less oxygen. Second is the blood vessels are blocked and the organs like brain, heart, kidney have subnormal function. Ultimately, the person go to multi-organ failure and succumb to the disease. So question is that initially we are thinking it is a respiratory disease, but the death occurred due to multi-organ failure. So what is the pattern of the disease? Many of us have a mild symptoms or no symptoms. Maybe little body ache, little sore throat, may or may not have fever, oxygen saturation okay. We call them asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic. The moderate category, which is about 10 to 15%, the mild category is around 80 to 85%. 10% could be moderate, where there is fever, severe body ache, diarrhea, gastroenteritis. They may have oxygen saturation low and may require hospitalization, and if so required, require ventilation. Ventilation is a double-edged weapon. If you put unnecessary ventilation, you are harming the person. If you do not put the patient on ventilation, you are compromising oxygen saturation to the brain, liver, and kidney. So it is a very severe problem to monitor them dedicatedly. And who are the high-risk people? People above 60 years of age, people with immunodeficiency, people with cancer chemotherapy, people those are smoker, diabetes, blood pressure, overweight. So we know from the American study by April that 25% people those succumb, they are diabetic, and about 30% have high blood pressure on the AC inhibitors like those who angiotensin blockers, and also 40% are overweight, because when the breathing problems started, they were not able to breathe because they are overweight. So these things we knew before the pandemic could spread to many states of Odisha, because in Odisha, first case was detected on 15th of March. So we got some experience, and if you look at the middle of May and June, Maharashtra was the number 1. Tamil Nadu, Delhi, Telangana, Gujarat, Odisha was not figuring anywhere. By the September, Odisha has already developed so many cases, and we are losing about 15 to 20 patients per day for a population of 40 million. So we know that it can happen. So what is the issue? What is the issue for your country, my country, for the countries like US? Issue for the people, because we lockdown and shutdown, there are no job, and they are all practically house arrest. Students, elderly, job seekers, and everybody, except the people, those who are online worker, those who can sit in the night and do online working, they are happy because they don't have to go to workplace. Issue for the government. So many patients, no beds, no ventilator, no oxygen. When we have to purchase PP in March 2020, it was 2,200 a PP, personal protecting kit. Today you get in about 250 rupees. A mask N95 is to cost, I first N95 mask I purchased over 500 rupees in February, March. So we know we have constraint in resources, we have lack of doctors, we have lack of beds all over India. We have seen by that time what is happening across the world. So we have health worker problem, government issues, people issues, children issue of the schools and everything. So what is the overall issues? Disease, death, job loss, lockdown and shutdown, closing of, we did not have 10th and 12th exam. We did not have NEET exam for the MBBS entrance. We did not have till December, we did not have JEE. Till November, we didn't have MBBS entrance, which happened usually in May. So we decided life is more important or the job. That is what the Prime Minister said, Jiban or Jibika. So you have to compromise between making the people survive, then think of how much they need for their daily requirement. So you have to compromise between your life in one hand and which is heavier. Of course, we will all think life is much heavier than earning a few $1,000s or not. So it was very important. Closing educational institution was not easy. We have to close down all of our colleges. We have engineering college, medical college, hotel management, agriculture science, pharmaceutical science, nursing college, dental college. It is not an easy job to close down education institution for 1 year. And what happened to the quality of education? These are terribly bad. We cannot teach MBBS or agriculture online. We cannot give the patient care online, or I can do. So the suffering of the non-COVID patient when there is no train transport, bus transport, all the taxi stands are closed. So you imagine the patient could not come to the hospital. Those are non-COVID patients. So it was a issue for, so bed issue, non-availability of ventilator, non-availability of oxygen, no vaccine could think of in month of March, April. By September, August, we know that 8 vaccines will be coming maybe by March. So death rate was around 0.5 to 10%. In India, it was 2.5% in month of May and June, which has come down over a period of time because of very good management, because of strong steps taken, because of quick arrangements of bed and oxygen, because of the dedication of the police and hospital worker. We see that every person get best treatment in Odisha. So we had so many beds. When there were 10 cases in Odisha, Odisha government has arranged for 6,000 beds next month. So we know that before we can reach 100%, government had organized dedicated COVID hospital separated from general hospital. So our general hospital did not have COVID bed. We have separated COVID beds. Now I am talking of type of disease. I have already spoken mild, moderate, and asymptomatic. Luckily enough, in India, our asymptomatic patients are tune of 70 to 75%, and serious patients are the tune of 5%. If you take a 5%, half of them are going to ventilator and die. That will come to 2.5%. The statistics are very simple. Once a person go to ventilator for any reason, the chance of survival will be less than 50% or just 50%, even you are optimistic. So we knew ventilation is not a solution. Purchasing ventilator is not a solution. It is better that if you can manage without a ventilator with a dedicated care and see that at the right moment ventilator is required, and when you see no more waiting is good for the patient. So we have other issues. Doctors are demoralized, nurses are not mentally prepared. We were doing 15 days duty and 15 days quarantine. Believe or not, in last 1 year, I have not taken 1 day holiday. Whether Saturday, Sunday night, I work from 7 o'clock morning to 8 o'clock night. So it doesn't matter. We have dedicatedly served. We must thank the police fellows, municipality organization, and the police and doctor in a hospital, because they did a tremendous job to do with the or treat them. So we have mental stress, depression, suicide tendency. There are large, if you look at the doctor across the world, in India, the Medical Association of India is saying that 750 doctors have died in India. And yesterday I was talking to police commissioner of Bhubaneswar. I told in a meeting that police people are not getting attention. He says, sir, around 30,000 police people have died in India. So imagine hundreds of police people have died in Odisha also. But we are not giving due regards because they have provided service and they have misunderstood, malhandled. The people are shouting at them because on the police, they go on the road, so many things. So if you look at the students, there are mental stress, there are problems not going in the way. People, those are worker, immigrant worker, there are all the factories closed down and the construction site closed down, hotel closed down, transport closed down. So they had to come back. So we had a problem. We have a health issue, financial issue, educational issue, social issue, and moralistic issue, and ethical problems. Ethical problem is that two persons coming with a respiratory problem, one person is 50 years old, one person is 90 years old, both of them require ventilator, we have one ventilator. So when the doctors treat the 50 years young man with a ventilator, 90 years man's relative are offset, because you have to hear sing the suitability of using for the most fit person, those are going to make it. If you want to understand, when the people are dying in Italy, the government of Italy decided people above 80 years will not be put on ventilator. They would rather ventilate people between 50, 60 than 80 and 90s. So these are very difficult decisions. These are not easy, but maybe sometimes look unethical if you have to choose between a 50 years man and a 90 years man. So there are a lot of, so what are the issues for the health worker? When you people are so scared, we are going and serving the people in ventilators. And I know at least 10 to 15 anesthetists of critical care have died in Delhi, Bombay. Nobody talks about them. The question is that how caring for the family, for the man who is working in the ICU or a critical unit and dealing with the people, those are dying every day. So we have got death, depression, family were very, very upset with us. And more importantly, when I used to go back home, my colony people will say, he's a COVID doctor. So we were looked after as if we are outcasted because we are giving service to dying humanity. You people must be knowing many doctors are not or malhandled, sisters are beaten up, the tenants are thrown out from the colony because doctors are treating COVID patients. So now another issue is that the doctors are not paid salary because in the pandemic, the government income went down, the GST collection went down, and doctors, those are promised to get a 100% extra salary, they are not getting. So there is lot of issue, excluding health issue. So what we think sometimes health is the much more important issue is not true. Health is only one issue, but the other issue have an overriding priority, that is life, that is income, that is survival, and that is also the morally keeping the patient fit and healthy. Because the number of suicide has across the world will be several thousands because of COVID. Now you look at the immigrant worker. We had no plan. We found 40 to 50 million people have to go back work, and Odisha had 10 million immigrant workers. But Odisha government quickly decided, and Mr. Naveen Patnaik rang to the different chief minister, give them food and shelter, we will pay for them. Then they said that whoever comes out, he will be quarantined at the government expenditure. He will be paid money, 2,000 rupees for quarantine, many things. So it is not one issue, other thing. I would think the India handled the COVID very well, whether it is a relatively less virulent strain, or it is a very good planning, or the doctors did well, or shutdown did well. But we all had suffered through a mental breakdown because of this pandemic, of various reasons. Many people are not following dignity of the profession. So it is not one issue. We all provided free medicine. Thousands of food packages were given to the immigrant laborer walking on the highways. The different states send bus services to collect their immigrant labor. So these are issues which is not very easy to tackle, because when the millions of people, we expect about 60 to 70 million people in India traveling on the road because they do job loss during pandemic. So it was, they have to come back home because they were very much depressed. So immigrant worker, I have already told, lot of steps are taken. Here I can say mental stress can only be treated by the meditation, pranayam, and giving counseling that this pandemic is going to go. The pandemic is like an ordinary common cold. We have to face it, rather become depressed, and we have to fear for the pandemic, but not to get nervous or mental breakdown. Because what large number of people require, building of the confidence, counseling, moral boosting, and so that they don't go to a state of depression. And there was also need of rest. Imagine or not, the doctors, when you put a PP and a diaper, you can go to toilet, you can take tea during your 8-hour service in the COVID hospital, you can speak to anybody, you cannot go to toilet. So we had to put them on diaper. They cannot drink water, tea or anything, and they have to in an environment with COVID patient. So there was really there was no rest, no adequate PP. Counseling was not possible because India has very little psychologists or psychiatrists. We have tremendous deficiency of medical manpower. We need 18 lakhs doctor. Currently, there are 7 lakh doctor available. So we have a deficiency of about 11 to 12 lakh doctor, nurses, and that is why we are overstrained, depressed. And if you read any literature of mental state of the doctors and medical practitioners, nurses, they are maximum depressed than other people. So what are the public? Public needed tolerance. They should not be aggressive to the health worker, policeman, municipality worker, electricity provider, because you have to understand, electricity was uninterrupted, water supply was uninterrupted, the death people, the family was not allowed. So the municipality was taking the dead body to the cremation ground. There are people doing cremation when the family members are so afraid of. So what we need, we require a lot of adjustment, which in a short period of time, a common man cannot adjust. A pandemic which give you 2 or 3 years time, people mentally get acclimatized. Here, it was such a quick, rapid succession. How can you teach a smashan or cremation ground worker mental strength? He is cremating the dead body where the family is so afraid of. Similarly, ambulance driver, believe or not, thousands of our TV channel workers suffered. If you talk about Odisha TV, any TV, they are going to the different people and collecting the data. They were going to hospital. They were going to COVID patients, relatives. So they suffered. Police people suffered. Hospital workers suffered. TV channels suffered. Municipality workers suffered. So it was a overall suffering of all category of people. So it required quick adjustment. Now talk about children. We know that children below 10 years has a mortality 1 in 1 lakh. If we take 0.5% mortality, the least mortality happened in 10 years below children. And the least number of deaths has occurred below 20 years. If you take subgroup 1 to 20 years, 20 to 40 years, 60 years to 80 years, and above 80 years, then we are the first person to lock down the children. They cannot play, they cannot go to school, there are online classes, and people have sold their cows to get a cell phone. In Odisha, people have sold their cows to get a cell phone so the children can have a cell phone for online classes. The mothers have sold their ornament, either ear or rings, to sell. So these are not easy decision. Easy decision. My child is at home. The classes are going online. Should I deprive him from education, make him more depressed, or I sold my assets to get a cell phone and internet connection? It's not easy. 20 million students in India, only 10% have access to internet because 24 hours electricity, 24 hours internet facility are not available in tribal areas, in remote areas. And we found from statistics, the internet use has gone up by 40% in the last 1 year. We have not increased the infrastructure, cell phone tower, bandwidth, yet we want to have connection on internet so that we teach our students. So what happened ultimately? Students are making online on and going to sleep. They did the household work, and when we wanted online examination, they all protested, telling we did not receive any of your lecture because we make the video on and mute, audio on and mute. We did all other work except hearing your lecture. So we are fooling ourselves by giving online lecture, and children were on the pretext of reading. You know, the sleep and working cycle of children have gone. You come to India and ask any parents who has a son or daughter above 10 years, none of them get up sleep before 1 a.m. 10 o'clock, nobody sleeps. And no child of 10 years today sleep 10 o'clock. Because there is no school in the morning, they sleep 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock, get up 10, 11, 12 o'clock. So the children not only are not going to school, they cannot play, they are mentally depressed, their sleep and cycle has become very bad. And what WHO told, the poor people become poorer because they lose job. So in India, 15% poor people have lost their job, and the malnutrition happened to the children of poor people. And the people, those are online and getting American money, sitting on the online work, their job has increased. Amazon has made a 280% profit, so also Alibaba and most of the IT companies. Their children have become fatter. The statistics say in India, 10% affluent children have gained fat and 15% children have become more malnourished. So out of 100 children, 45 children are malnourished, 50 children are overweight, and 5 to 10% children are normal weight. So imagine what we have done to our children. Not only education, not their mental strength, their sleep cycle, and their lifestyle. So we have suffered stigma. I have already told that suffering stigma, the family nuisance, sexual harassment, family violation. If you look from Japan to Korea to China to India to US, the family violence has gone up. Whether it is wife and husband, mother or father, I don't know, children, because we thought when you get together in a family for 10 days is enjoyable. 15 days, my daughter was in my house because she could not go to Singapore. We are all the time praying she should go back to her job. What is she going to sit in India? The question is that we always felt as a parent, the children should come with us. How many days? 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 5 years? What will do after 2 years or 2 months? So the parents are unhappy, children are unhappy, their sleep cycle problem. So all these things are very bad for all of us. It is ruined our social life. So colony, I have told you how I was looked at by my own colony. When I used to come and enter the gate, sir, aap ghar aa gaye? Are you coming home? Have you washed your hand? Have you sanitized? As if I don't know the sanitizer. The security guard is asking me, have you sanitized your hand? Or I should give a little sanitizer. This is the question I have to face every day. Next slide. So it is a really moral breakdown. Next one. So social media. Social media has a positive role and a negative role. We have poisoned human mind. We have given so much of good information and more of a misinformation that WHO has to tell infodemics. What is infodemics? We have an epidemic which is killing people. We have a misinformation epidemic which ruin the mind of the people in the form of confusion and uncertainty. If I give you a lot of misinformation, you will be confused. So social media has played a very positive role telling how to manage the COVID. But they have given so many misinformation that good work is overlooked. So WHO has to make a recommendation, refer a new term coined, which is not found in Oxford Dictionary, infodemics. You go to anything now, you will get infodemics. Information epidemic which has spoiled you and mine and everybody's mind. So what is the risk of old people? Old people cannot have, see, we all felt by COVID, we have cured the cancer, dialysis, heart attack. Yesterday we had a webinar by the government of Odisha. People asked, during COVID, non-COVID patients suffer or not? I said they suffered maximum because we closed down the hospitals, giving maximum stress to COVID patient. Where did the dialysis went? Where the cancer patient got chemotherapy? What happened middle of night if somebody has a heart attack? There are no ambulance services, or most of the ambulance services are busy for the COVID. So if I say that medical community did a justice to the COVID patient, what happened to the millions of people suffer from non-COVID disease? For them, there is no hospital. Most of the government hospitals are struggling with the bed for the COVID patient. So we have high-risk patient, uncertain future, fear of the COVID death, and more importantly, psychosocial breakdown of our society. So we have now coined it all post-COVID stress syndrome. Most of our hospital running, how the people are demoralized, and many of the people, those who suffered severe pulmonary infection, they have fibrosis of the lungs and their oxygen saturation not normal. So nowadays we are running post-COVID stress syndrome management by psychiatry, and also respiratory problem, because when the people are recovering for COVID, they are mentally not very happy. They're physically, they're feeling weak for months, and also their respiration is not becoming absolutely normal if they suffered from respiratory problem and oxygen saturation and gone to ventilator. So these things have become issue. Here I have shown 50% people, 58% people from a sample study shows they have psychosocial impact in India, and severe depression in 22%. So it is not that only COVID patients have suffered, non-COVID patients, students, elderly people, everybody has suffered. So I have talked about children. I will talk few minutes on the vaccine. So what we need is reassurance, boosting of all of, we need moral support for you and for me. You support morally me and I support morally you. Because if you do your job is to motivate me to do my job. And I give you confidence that I look after you. Even you become a serious COVID patient, we have infrastructure, we have facility, we have trained manpower, we will do our best, but we as a doctor cannot change the destiny of a human being. If you believe any ism, you believe their destiny. So doctors are not the destiny maker, but doctors can put their best effort. That the Indian doctor across India have proven our death rate is one of the lowest in the world, and in Odisha it is 0.4%. So healthcare provider role is very important. They require psychological, moral boosting. But what is more important in this period, when you are all locked down, you should have pranayam, you should have yoga, you should have nutrition, balanced food. Tell your children to go balanced food, not junk food. When you sleep in the night, your children and the cell phone or internet, they keep on taking biscuit, bread, and mothers are very happy to give a cup of coffee and sandwiches. By remaining awake up to 2 a.m., they consume more food, they damage their more health problem. So I think when you all look after your children or grandchildren, tell them, even the pandemic has come, we should not change our lifestyle. We should have right time getting up, right time having food, taking balanced food, taking right amount of food, having adequate sleep, then taking breathing exercise. If possible, you can have prayer and pranayam, whatever religion, I don't bother. But if you are any faith, boost up your moral, because I say food is for the body, meditation is the mind, and prayer is the food for the soul. If you and I have to remain healthy as per WHO, it is 100% complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. That is why the spiritual aspect we have all forgotten. Social aspect we have forgotten. What the stress we give at moment is physical health and mental health. So I would request all of you, if as per the WHO definition we have to be healthy, then we have to have physical good health, mentally good health, social good health, and spiritual good health. If we balance all these, we will be happy people. Now coming to the vaccine. We know the vaccine is the only solution for the COVID. But there are many questions: what vaccine, how many times vaccine, which is how much effective, how frequently you take vaccine. These are unanswered questions. But we need vaccine. If I don't have vaccine, I always say my mask is the first vaccine, 6 feet distance, physical distancing is second vaccine, not getting together is the third vaccine. Now the question is that the scientists have put tremendous effort for making vaccine. Normally a vaccine goes through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 study, then it has a scientific publication, there's a patenting, then it goes to the approval by FDA, European Union, or drug controller of a country, then it goes for manufacturing. This process takes 10 to 12 years. But during the pandemic, we have to save life. So this is why the large number of scientists have concentrated on vaccine, so that we compress from 10 to 12 years to 1 to 1.5 years. Luckily, there is 8 vaccine in the market today. That is Pfizer vaccine. We have also vaccine by the Johnson and Johnson. We have Oxford vaccine by AstraZeneca. We have Covishield, that is Covishield by Serum Institute. We have vaccine from Bharat Biotech, which co-vaccine. We have Sinovac, which from Chinese vaccine, and we have Sputnik 5, which is Russian vaccine. But one common thing is that all these vaccines have not completed final stage, and all vaccines are emergency application. So when the question asked to me, is all the vaccine ethically correct? It is partially yes and partially no. Because we had an emergency situation at the second stage completion of the study, without going to get the details of the third phase and publication and patenting, the many governments have taken emergency approval of the vaccine. So the vaccine has been tried universally by phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and all these vaccines available today had not been tried out below 18 years, below in pregnant ladies, in breastfeeding mothers, and people those who are suffered from the COVID. So we do not know whether these vaccines are safe in this patient, necessary for them or not. The question then, who are the people should get vaccine? First phase, the vaccine should go to hospital workers, because they are dealing with the COVID patient. Second phase, it should go to the high-risk people above 50 years, immunocompromised, diabetes, hypertension, maybe people with a COPD. So if you have a vaccine, if you have vaccine, first hospital worker, second phase high-risk people, third phase other human beings, citizens, and fourth phase people below 18 years. So we do not have vaccine plan for children below 18 years. So when your children are not going to school and we are not planning to vaccinate them, it is a very ironical situation. Next slide. So we have, these are the vaccine. Vaccine are mRNA vaccine, killed virus vaccine, life attenuated vaccine. This vaccine, life attenuated, means the virus is alive but made non-virulent. Sputnik vaccine, co-vaccine. There are different companies who are making it. The RNA vaccines are are very modern vaccine. They are the most scientifically designed vaccine. They are very easy to manufacture in the laboratory. They produce high amount of antibodies. They can be produced in a very mass scale. But the question is that for the messenger RNA vaccine, you require to store them in a cold chain of -20, -40, and -70. So many countries will not be able to afford for it or have the cold chain to manage with Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. Now the poor countries like developing countries like India and Asian countries, African countries can use Covaxin and AstraZeneca vaccine, Sputnik vaccine, or Sinovac. These vaccines do not require cold chain. These are effective between 50 and 75 to 80%, and we have to take 2 doses. People ask why 2 doses. All the study was planned when the vaccine trial started. We'll have one vaccine after 8 day 0, after 14 days second vaccine, and third vaccine at 28 days in a human trial. Then we realize maybe 3 doses are not necessary to produce adequate antibody. We'll give one vaccine day 0, second vaccine either day 21 or day 28, so that we follow them for 3 months and find out the development of the antibody. But what is not happening in this study, none of the vaccine have studied the amount of antibody present after 6 months. So we do not know what happened to the antibody level you are vaccinated and how much antibody will still be persisting in the body after 6 months. The study from the New York, Los Angeles, and Alaska shows in New York and Los Angeles, those who suffer from the severe COVID, the antibody remain in the body for 3 to 4 months. Some regions unknown, in Alaska, the antibody was persisting after up to 6 to 9 months. So we have individual variation, regional variation, ethnical variation, and human body are not a mathematical formula. We do not know who is going to produce how much antibody and how long an antibody is going to persist in the human being. So we presume if a person is properly vaccinated, he will probably not require vaccine for a period of 6 to 9 months. So we know we all need vaccine because that is the best option we have today. The people who have suffered from the COVID in last 1 month will not require vaccine because they may have enough antibody. Those who are pregnant mother and lactating mother, they should not take antibody. Many countries think people have 80 years or 85 years, like Scandinavian country, after taking Pfizer vaccine, they have some mortality. So they have restricted their vaccine inoculation to the people less than 80 years. So we have not yet understood scientifically what is right versus wrong. But whatever we have understand 1 year is tremendous amount of scientific effort by the basic scientists, medical scientists, pharmaceutical scientists, and also corporate world in manufacturing. So we should give a big hand. The things which we have taken 10 to 15 years has happened in 8 months to 10 months. We have large number of questions, yet it is not answerable because the pandemic lasts for longer and we do not know how many questions we'll be able to answer scientifically. But whatever little we know, we answer it. Most important thing, keep yourself positive. Do not go to depression. When you go to depression, your immune system become weak. And prevent negative thinking. Practice meditation. Have healthy, balanced food. And then you should practice breathing exercise so that your vital capacity of the lungs increase. If a person is smoking, he should stop smoking. If a person is overweight, he should try to cut down the weight, keeping the BMI 25 or below, because these are high risk factor. So whatever in our hand, whatever is 100% we know, I am telling that if we have a good practices, positive mind, breathing exercise, healthy practices, good lifestyle, this is going to prevent large amount of people suffering from COVID. Other thing that we are happy that vaccine is available and we have to all take it without asking too much questioning. I think I have completed a lot of time, maybe 45 minutes to 50 minutes. It's a very, very important topic we are discussing. COVID has affected all of us mentally, physically, financially, socially, and make us weak, mentally weak, physically weak, financially weak. We have to keep ourselves strong mentally, physically, do the breathing. Psychologists should counsel the people, doctors, NGOs, government should do their job so that we keep the number of COVID patients controlled. Doctor and hospital, they should work sincerely to their best. It is not a time to relax for the doctors. We must all take vaccine, whatever vaccine government approve, without too much of question of legality, ethical issue, because every country has their own problems, limitations, availability, and infrastructure. So I think we must take vaccine and practice good services. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mahapatraji. We are so grateful to you. Wonderful. You have enlightened us from the beginning of the pandemic to the recent developments on the vaccination, what is happening in India and world around. Great insight into the current status. Thank you very much, Dr. Mahapatraji. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Now we will open the floor for questions, answers, and if there is any clinical discussion. Let me begin, first of all, the first question. Prof, I want to update you what is happening in Nigeria here. To give you a brief background, in Nigeria, this same wave started last year, March, April, but the first wave went down around August, September. It came down completely. Then the second wave with the UK variant of RNA mutated version has come back to Nigeria around middle of December. We are having this latest mutant of strain for last 6 weeks in Lagos and in Nigeria, in West Africa. And the current strain, which we have seen clinically, the presentation is much more different than the first one. What's your advice to our viewers here? At what stage, at what clinical stage or a symptomatic stage for a common person to go for RT-PCR test? Because we have seen here in Nigeria, especially in Indian community, people are not even going for testing. They are staying at home. So please advise them at what stage they should take a decision to go for RT-PCR, swab PCR testing.
Actually, it's a very important question. No country can do RT-PCR for 100% flu or sore throat patient. We have to differentiate the people of flu who needs RT-PCR or rapid test or do not test, whatever it may be. The question is that we know that the common flu is a common flu. So it is told a treated cold lasts for 7 days and untreated cold for a week. The pandemic like COVID has an incubation period normally between 6 to 7 days. Rarely it can go to 14 days. That is the reason why the quarantine went up to 21 days, cut down to 14 days, then cut down 10 days. If a person is having fever or sore throat, which is not respond to the paracetamol, not respond to the cetirizine or something antihistamine, or little something for malaise like vitamin C, and the fever is not controlled after 3 or 4 days, then you should go for either throat swab or a rapid test, because rapid test, see, the RT-PCR is a very time consuming process. It takes about 6 hours on average and you require a lot of infrastructure. Then you can have a fast screening as the antigen test, which is a rapid test. Within 15 minutes you can get it. If there is a positive comes, then you can go for further confirmation. So I would request all flu, see, when we started a flu clinic in my hospital in Bhubaneswar, about 500 patients came to flu clinic every day. If we suspect the flu has lasted 4 or 5 days, patient is looking sick, the chest is showing auscultation, we never went everybody for the CT scan of the chest. Sometime we resort to chest X-ray. So if a person has got fever, he is having little discomfort in the chest, fever is not coming down, then he go for rapid test, which takes about half an hour for giving a viral. And if there is positive, then you go for RT-PCR. Otherwise, doing RT-PCR, a huge number of upper respiratory infection, not feasible, it time consuming, and it's not going to help you. So far you are talking. So far you are talking. Yes.
Clinically, the experience here in Nigeria, Lagos is those people who have gone for rapid antigen tests, there are a lot of false and wrong reports which have come. Rapid antigens is showing negative, and actually patient is progressing towards clinical prognosis is bad, and then later on when we did the RT-PCR, it was found positive. So reliability is a big question mark for the rapid test.
Dr. Grover, nothing is 100%. When RT-PCR came at AIMS for TB, we say it is the Pandora box which is giving us everything. Soon you realize RT-PCR can be false positive in 15 cases percent and false negative 10%. So while rapid test is positive about 50% cases, the PCR will be positive 80% cases. The positivity comes from not from symptoms. Positivity comes how severe the symptoms, what is the immune status of the body, because large number of factors determine the amount of antibody antigen produced by the body. So if a person go too early, today I have sore throat, for 3 days time I didn't respond, 4th day I went, I have antigen RT-PCR negative. Then after 7 days I do a test, it's positive. Then the people are telling these are labs are giving wrong report. It is not correct. If you do not have enough antibody, you will not be able to detect it. I was quarantined for 14 days because my driver was suffering from COVID. When they did my RT-PCR, they say out of five elements you do, IgG, IgM and other parameters, they say one is positive, you should remain in quarantine. Now we understood a lot of about things, limitations, efficacy, and need for RT-PCR. Today, when you say home quarantine, do not tell everybody. We only tell doctor will select who will go for RT-PCR. It is the doctor who said, because the family cannot decide for RT-PCR. Because RT-PCR costing 4,500 rupees in India in March. It came down to 2,500 rupees in August. Now it is 400 rupees. And when huge number of labs are doing, we do not know. In India, sometimes people say, people take money, you have to go abroad. So even if positive, there is a negative report. Because your child or my child had to go with a negative RT-PCR. So reliability, when I started doing the RT-PCR, it took me 2 months to get an ICMR approval. It is a BSL type 3 lab. They want 8,000 square feet lab with a trained technician. India doesn't have BSc technology. When I asked my biotechnology HOD, give one person who is BSc in molecular genetic or molecular who can do RT-PCR, RNA extraction. He said, Dr. Saab, I don't have a single person in my lab who has done, because Odisha doesn't have BSc technology. We are all doing all the lab. Very few centers. We have much less technology technician than doctors. So there are real issues, not for you, across the world. The best centers also will have asked question. It is Korea who had done maximum RT-PCR. But when the second phase came, same Korea, South Korea, had a lot of mortality. They could not prevent second wave even by doing RT-PCR. So it depends when do RT-PCR, how diligently you do it, what are the fractions in, you look at, you want 5 fragments. Somebody say, if one positive is positive. Somebody say 5 positive, I will give positive. So there are a lot of issues. I'm not going to.
Got your point, sir. Understood.
I am not going to confuse the public with too much of science.
Got your point, sir. Next question we have from Mrs. Kamla Raoji. She has asked a question Professor, what is the level of antibodies normally generated for an asymptomatic COVID positive patient, and for how long that antibodies last?
Nobody knows because antibody tests are very costly. You have to do IgG, IgM, CD4, CD8, and many things. So these are all done as project mode. Let us say India has 11 million COVID patients. Can you do, when you are not even able to do PCR and rapid test, to do antibody every individual suffering is not possible. So nobody will be able to answer how much antibody generated. But what we know from small studies, if a person suffer from the COVID, his antibody in place like US can disappear between 3 to 6 months. But the unusual study found from Alaska, that antibody was still persisting in a good amount after 9 months. That is one question. Second thing, this is a question for us. Should we vaccinate people suffering from COVID within first 1 month? We have decided one of the criteria in India not to give vaccine those who have suffered from the COVID in first 1 month, because we presume if they manifest the disease, they must have some antibody. Yes. Again, antibody production depends age of the patient, immune status of the body, nutritional problem, immunosuppressant, steroid therapy, many things. As a doctor, you know it. The question is that everybody do not produce same amount of antibody. Every serious patient will not have same amount of antibody. So it is so varied, there cannot be a single answer for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The next question which came from the audience is, clinically, what's your experience, especially on the ICU area? At what stage clinically that people should trigger use of ARVs like remdesivir and shift the patients to ventilator support? At
Yes.
around what stage?
Without doubt, we have proven that plasma therapy, remdesivir, ivermectin, nothing is useful. They are all proof inadequate. We do not have a magic bullet for COVID-19. The normal treatment is paracetamol, vitamin C, and something which is antihistamine. If you have a respiration which is compromised, you get chest pain or there is a crepitation in the lungs, chest excess or abnormality, you should go to hospital. The time came when we say everybody in India should have home quarantine, those who are mildly symptomatic or asymptomatic. That is the reason we treated at the home, and they should communicate to the municipality doctor every day. Now the question, who needs treatment? Moderate cases, those who require oxygen saturation monitoring. I told you, putting somebody ventilator is not the end of the problem. It is the beginning of the problem, because management of ventilator and the ventilator related pneumonia, ventilator itself can cause problem as a foreign body. So we have to see that if a person has difficulty breathing, oxygen saturation from 92 has come to 90 or 91, you admit them. Observe them for oxygen saturation. If the oxygen saturation goes below 90, then we put them in ICU and give them mask oxygen. You don't have to put them ventilator. If I can put a oxygen mask, BPAP or CPAP and maintain, then I don't put a non-invasive. So that is not, we will say if a person has chest pain, breathing difficulty, or at home you have a small oximeter, oxygen saturation going to 90, it is the time to be very careful. So you should get to the hospital or a doctor.
Thank you, sir. Next question is asked by one of the viewers. If somebody has already been tested positive and he has been treated very well, there are two questions to this for the confirmed positive cases. One is that these people, how are the chances of reinfection of infected with COVID-19 again? And second question for the same patients is, does these people should take vaccination, or there's no need for taking vaccination for these COVID?
Very important question. When New York City published 7,500 cases of COVID in American Journal of Medicine, JAMA, they told 2.5% people can come back again with COVID. So if a person suffered from COVID, can he be readmitted? There are two reasons for readmission. the infection which got control can re-exacerbated after being discharged. Second, they can come back with the COVID complication because of lung fibrosis. So symptomatology of the COVID, if it's early discharge from the hospital. See, ICMR told that everybody should be in the hospital for 21 days. Because the beds were very needy in India, we make it 14 days. Then they reduce it to 10 days. Then they say home quarantine at home, home isolation. So we have gone stepwise and we have not rapidly not done anything. So here you have to understand, when a person is admitted at a hospital RT-PCR positive, he is discharged if he is asymptomatic on 10th day. If he is discharged 10th day, we don't know he is negative or not negative. We do not know what is infectivity for others and what is his virus load in the body if he is immunologically very well. Suppose I am immunologically very strong, but I still have virus in the throat, I can infect somebody, or I can get, if I go home and get lax, I can get re-exacerbated of the disease. So we know from South Korea and Europe and US, some percentage of people will come back with COVID. So COVID infection going home and come back COVID, it is quite possible. Now the question is that, can they infect other? They can definitely infect other if immunologically they're strong. They go home, they have a person which immunocompromised 80 years man with a rheumatoid arthritis. They have a small amount of virus in the throat. They infect the relatives. So they can infect. Now the question is that, if a person suffered from COVID, does he need vaccine? India, we are telling, irrespective of severity of the COVID infection, if you are RT-PCR positive, you should not take COVID vaccine. We are preventing them COVID vaccine in first 1 month. If a person has COVID positive 3 months back, he is eligible to take a vaccine. So our criteria at this moment, exclusion criteria, the children below 18 years, a person suffering COVID in last 1 month, pregnant woman, and lactating mother. So these are the criteria we have kept.
Clear, sir. Next question is from gentleman Mr. Deepak Chaudhary ji, that they have seen in COVID infected patients, when they are fully recovered, how bad are the chances that these positive patients, their lungs, their kidneys, or they might have some heart issues, cardiovascular issues? Is it correct that this virus has affected other vital organs, and how bad is that for post-COVID complications?
It is a very important question. Initially, we thought it is a respiratory syncytial virus. It only affects respiration. It is not true. The cytokine this virus produce circulate the bloodstream and block the capillaries. So these people go to the vascular necrosis in the liver, kidney, and many other organs, going to respiratory failure. And in children, they had a syndrome which is killing the children because they also have their fibrosis in the lungs and other organs. So when a person recovers, he can still have problem in other organs. That is the reason we are running post-COVID OPDs. When the post-COVID OPD means after going home he has got any symptoms, instead of going to regular medical or surgical OPDs, he comes to the COVID follow-up clinic. There a doctor has to see what type of which system is affected. Kidney, liver, lungs. We all know severe COVID patients, 40% will have a lung capacity reduced by 20 to 30%. And we also know from physiology, if a lungs work 60%, we can still manage 100% oxygen. But normally, our normal day-to-day respiration, lungs is only working up to 60 to 70%. But if the lungs is damaged by 40%, that 60% buffering is not available for a normal man. So interstitial fibrosis after a severe COVID patient is a real problem, and they come with breathlessness, chest pain, and sometimes you have to give small dose of steroid, because for interstitial fibrosis of lungs, which produce pulmonary function test abnormality, there is no long-term cure. So you have got either bronchodilator or you have little small dose of steroid. So we have started post-COVID clinic for psychological issue and COVID complication after recovery. So there are two types. One is psychological issue. They go to psychiatrist, and the other physical abnormality in the form of liver, lungs, and the lungs, they go to the COVID clinic. So it is very necessary for you to have a post-COVID clinic. So they all come for follow-up.
Thank you, sir. Next question is asked by Mr. Krish Senapati ji, that in India also and in Nigeria also, a lot of people are doing self-medications, even prophylactically. They have started taking hydroxychloroquine, zinc, vitamin C. What is your recommendation? Should the people take it or should the people wait for the medical advice?
Time to time, ICMR had given advisories. The people in Korea and China took vitamin C and zinc and say we could prevent it. We do not have scientific evidence to see zinc and vitamin C will prevent COVID. But what it can do, it can boost the immune system of the body. When the hydroxychloroquine was a magic drug in month of April and May, India sent a lot of hydroxychloroquine to different countries. Then suddenly the publication in the journal like Lancet say it is bad, but they did not have scientific basis. Some two people from UK just sit down in their lab and say we have to defame India, so they got a false report. The question is that does the hydroxychloroquine give you immunity? We have no evidence. No, we have no evidence. Now coming to other things, if I take, let us say, immune stimulating substance like curcumin, haldi, honey, dalchin, adrak, ginger, that is the traditional Ayurvedic medicine. That is probably is known for 1,000 years that vitamin C, ginger, tulsi is going to prevent. But when you go to Ayurvedic literature, I did a lot of search on Ayurvedic, we do not have evidence, but it is not harmful also. Hydrochloroquine can harm somebody.
Yes.
I had taken hydrochloroquine. Believe or not, when I suffered from hepatitis for last 2 months, my appetite went down. I do not know. My Ayurvedic friend said, take this medicine. Ramdev Baba take this medicine, Coronil. Then the homeopathic said, take arsenal. I used to go give lectures in the homeopathy medical college. They gave me free medicine called arsenical album. When I took it, and after 3 months I got hepatitis, they told me that this cannot happen. When I read about hydroxychloroquine, arsenic, and Google, and many things Ayurvedic medicine, all of them are known to produce liver problem because they metabolize liver. So none of them are scientifically proven, yet conventionally accepted. I would rather prefer to take lemon, ginger, honey, haldi than hydroxychloroquine or arsenicals.
Thank you, sir. One question has come from a medical professional here in Nigeria. He's asking that now we have seen in last 8-9 months, the patients actually are not dying of the septicemia or sepsis due to secondary infection, and actual cause of death is becoming more like an infarct or embolism. So, what's the role of anticoagulants, and if they have any role, for how long we should give them?
Actually, it is very important question in a very acute stage when the pathogenesis are unfolding, that it is just not a lungs disease, it is affecting because they require dialysis, they require liver medicine for sustaining liver. We understood. The first paper published from England says it is producing cytokine storm. Then large number of published from John Hopkins, from the New York, and there was also some publication from China in middle of March and April that there could be so much of antibody production as a form of cytokine, it will go into circulation and block the vessels. You know what is the water flowing in a pipe and chini sira or something with a higher viscosity. So when there is too much of antibodies in the cytokines in the blood, there will be thicker blood and that will block the gland. So the question then arises, can you give a blood thinner? Can you give a hemodilution? So the people started doing more volume therapy, anticoagulant therapy, so that they don't clog. And there was some study shows in an acute stage, anticoagulation study help. Now long term, when they become all right, go home. What are the therapy? You can give antiplatelet. we have no scientific evidence to tell whether this persistent blockage of a blood vessel will stay for a long time. If the vessels got blocked and they develop infarct, how did they survive? So many things we have no scientific evidence, because the pandemic is only 9 to 10 months, and all the questions we have generated over like 10 months, we have no answer, because they will require studies for 6 months, 3 months, 8 months, like this. So I think there is a role of anticoagulant. In acute phase, you require to hydrate them. You give them anticoagulant in the ICU. Once they recover and go home, you may have to put them antiplatelet that is necessary for keeping the platelet adhesion low. So that will be one of the possibility for the medical practitioner to follow in a long term of the COVID patient.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Ashok Mahapatraji. That's the end of the question answer session. So kind of you.
No problem.
if-
We are there
if-
to help any of us.
Yeah. If I have missed any of the question, I would
If
request.
anybody want to ask question,
yes,
my
you
point
can-
is that they should not go dissatisfied.
Exactly.
If
So
I want to
if I
ask
missed
question,
any
I
of
was
the
not
question-
allowed to ask question. Doesn't matter whether
Yes, sir.
another 10 minutes or 20 minutes.
That is why I'm inviting our audience here. If there is any question which I have missed by mistake, the person can raise the hand and unmute yourself, and you can ask the question.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Doctor, I have a question. Can a mild or moderate COVID positive patient take the Zivoto kit as the medicine?
No. Absolutely no. Until unless you have seen the physician, please do not take any medications.
Doctor, you have to unmute. Doctor, you have to unmute.
there is no.
Let me clear, Grover Saab. Whoever is raising the hand, you can just allow him to ask questions.
Okay.
Please.
All right, sir.
Dude, I told from very beginning, there is no magic bullet yet. We have no definite treatment of COVID. Only definite treatment we can presume in the vaccine. That also works between 50 and 96%. And we also don't know how long, how much antibody going to generate, how frequently we are going to, if the pandemic is going to stay for 5 years or 10 years, how frequently we are going to require vaccination. Regarding any medicine, today we have no plasma therapy, nothing has proven to be helpful. What is helpful is the symptomatic treatment like paracetamol, vitamin C, and antihistamines. Beyond that, ventilator, antibiotic, which is required as a sophisticated test. But regarding this all this anti-flu measure, because large number of medicine were developed for swine flu, people extrapolate, the people say take BCG, take all this medicine which is developed for swine flu, even acyclovir, because that is antiviral. I don't think these are going to work. We have tried out of our curiosity, out of our anxiety state, that nothing works, why not try X, Y, Z? But we don't have scientific evidence. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Otherwise, we want to close the question answer session now, and we want to have the SABHA Isolation Center.
Hello. Groverji, I have a question. Venkat here.
Please go ahead, Mr. Venkat.
Yeah, doctor, I went through one study in Medscape which said that the concentration of the COVID virus is 1000 times in brain in comparison to lungs, which is the reason why there is a level of reinfection with this particular product. My question is that how do we maintain a psychological health, or will meditation help in faster recovery of a patient? That's my first question. And my second question is on vaccine, that out of Covishield and Covaxin, which vaccine is better for us to take?
Very good question. See, the positive mindset and keeping the positive mind helps in recovery from the coma, from the cancer, from the stroke. If a person is mentally strong, sound, and positive, and he creates positive vibration, positive aura, you can have strong immune system. So if you are thinking a person doing meditation, I was quarantined and I didn't have a TV in my room. I was 14 days quarantine. Either I read spiritual book, I did pranayam, or I did some meditation. The question is that these systems are going to strengthen your immune system. Even we have studied people doing giving in aims. There a study was done. If a person is depressed or stroke, you give them Gayatri Mantra cassette, Om cassette. This positive vibration through a MP3 player, does it have a recovery chance? A study done from New York City say a person who keeps his mind positive and strong, his recovery from the paralysis is faster. These are, unless you do double blind study, take one group trial, one group A, follow them for a period of time. Science publication, I told you, there are lots of misinformations, but things remain correct. If you are mentally strong, your vibration is positive, you do not go to a negative thinking process, immune system is strong, your chance of combating any disease including cancer is much better. Now coming to Covishield and Covaxin. I told all these vaccines are given approval on an emergency basis by the regulators. Whether it is FDA, European Union, or DCGI, doesn't matter. The government has got an approval in India for Covishield and Covaxin. Covishield is developed by the Oxford Group, and Covaxin is developed by Bharat Biotech. Both of them claim it is 60 to 70% effective. The difference is that the results of the Covaxin second and third phase is not published, but we have got safety data, and we have data in a small number of cases, antibody formation. So because I was a part of Covaxin trial in my hospital, we know it is safe and it also produces good amount of antibody. Because the third phase results are not out, for your information, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, none of the vaccines which are marketed today has got a third phase study published in any other paper. And all the approval the entire world has given is the emergency use, considering the death and suffering of the humanity. So Covaxin and Covishield, both are a success between 60 and 70%. I have taken Covaxin. In my hospital, we asked in first phase 3,500 vaccine. We got 2,500. 2,500 hospital worker in my medical college, in Kottayam Medical College, in Capital Hospital, across the all government hospital of Odisha have received Covaxin. Because Odisha was number one in the percentage of vaccine. When they found the 5 million vaccination phase 1, Odisha had a vaccination number 1 after the Lakshadweep. But Lakshadweep has a population very small, so we cannot compare Lakshadweep with any of the state of India. India has vaccinated in the doctor medical professional more than 2 lakhs. So I can only say we have taken it, we have trust, we are doing our own study. The medicine developed by the Indian scientist, Indian government has given approval, so we should trust it. So far the scientific stage 3 data is not available. So I won't be able to tell you whether after the third stage study, Covaxin is better or Covishield better. That is the truth.
Thank you.
So, doctor, sorry,
Good
doctor,
afternoon.
last 1 minute, please, doctor.
Yeah.
Yes,
So my name is
doctor. Yes, I heard from very close friends in Dubai that after the vaccination, 15 days after vaccination, they were tested positive. Not only him, a few of the other friends. So wanted to ask, now the scientists they have taken a Chinese vaccine. So after that, now they are saying the intensity will be less, but they are not sure, whether they can be tested positive or not. So I want to know what exactly is, this scenario in this country.
I respect your sentiment. I told the WHO had sold infodemics a telephone call and information doesn't become scientific evidence. I do not know how a person in Bhopal got Chinese vaccine. Chinese vaccine is
No,
that
sir,
is
in
Sinovac.
Dubai.
Yes, you are telling your friend in Bhopal says that he
No,
has
Dubai,
taken
Dubai,
Chinese
sir,
vaccine.
Dubai.
Dubai has not taken Chinese vaccine. Dubai is taking either Pfizer vaccine or Moderna. They have not. Dubai has not approved Chinese vaccine. So how the person in Dubai has taken? I know all the. You can go to net and find out what vaccine is approved by the Dubai government. And second
Yes,
thing,
it is.
we cannot take somebody telephone and extrapolate to the telling that my friend so that it's wrong. That is the reason WHO has very clearly warned in month of April, infodemics. These information spread like wildfire. That my friend told that so that is the last word in the world. It is not scientific evidence. So we should not take some telephone call or somebody's WhatsApp as a clinical evidence. I will request sincerely, go through the internet and find out what is the Dubai government approved which vaccine. To best of my knowledge, they have taken American vaccine. They won't take Chinese vaccine because the Chinese vaccine success rate is 50.4%. To best of my knowledge, Chinese vaccine has gone to Turkey, gone to Indonesia, gone to Philippines, gone to Malaysia, and gone to Brazil. And Brazil government say they are going to have problems because these are all find out from the telephone information or television information or news information. We do not have scientific evidence. So I will sincerely request you to find out what vaccine you tell. One person having a comment will not have a scientific impact.
Thank you, Prof. Now we would like to go to the updates on our isolation center here in Lagos.
Sir, Grover Sahab, only two people has raised the hand. After that, we are not going to entertain anybody. One is Mr. K. Viswanathan and second one is the Nitin Chandra Nandekar.
Please go ahead.
So anyone,
Hello,
anyone
sir.
can,
Yes.
yeah.
Hello, doctor. My name is Nitin Chandra, and my question is I have seen that in India, people do not have any fear of COVID now. And I must say that India has managed this situation very well. So, what is that India did well, and how we can learn from this, especially in Nigeria?
My answer will be, we handle the disease by giving proper information. India government every day from March 15 onward had a scientific briefing by the government of India, Minister of Health, by an additional secretary, joint secretary, from 4 to 4:30 public briefing about pandemic. Not to get panicky, follow all the advisories, follow the lockdown, shutdown, and mask, sanitizer, all well. If you look at my state, every day from 4:30 to 5:30, 1 hour the public briefing. That means what was happening in the state, what is happening in India, what is happening in the world was briefed to the public through a dedicated government-managed TV channel. So we make the people aware, not becoming them panicky, but to develop strength. And we keep on telling, live with COVID, corona ko darona. It is a flu which kills 2 to 5% people. More people die of a heart attack, motorcycle accident. India lose 90,000 motorcycles accident patients. Out of 2 million accidents per year, 1,60,000 people die of accident. We never get afraid of driving a red light. We have lost in 1 year 1,60,000 patients with COVID. It is same number of patients dying. We lose 500,000 on TB, but we are not careful for TB. Question I am telling, we make awareness program, confidence building, not becoming panicky. Government rules between 22nd, 24th of March, first lockdown, till first unlockdown, 1st of July. I thought 90% of citizens of India follow the government rules. It was a very, very heartening that public of India followed the strict rule, which is India is not known for. We always known to be a nation not following government rules. But believe or not, I used to travel every day 8 o'clock to hospital, then my office. I used to travel during the pandemic about 50 to 60 kilometers. I know that mask and social distancing and government rules were followed by maybe 90 to 95%, which is a very good compliance. You have seen across the world, Brazil, Mr. Trump, many countries are having protest against the lockdown and shutdown and telling the government don't do this nonsense. But probably we were more tolerant that way. We are more disciplined that way. So maybe there are many regions, but one of the regions that we followed the rules and regulation well. Maybe that is the one of the reasons.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
One more question. There are two questions. One question, somebody else. One was Dr. Raghavan. One is Dr. Nitin. Dr. Nitin, you asked the question, eh? Mr.
No, no,
Nitin.
sir. My question, my second question was, what should we learn from there, so that fear factor what Indian people do not have about COVID, how we can adopt this?
We all know, but tiger is coming. Tiger comes when we are afraid. There is no tiger. When a tiger comes, we are not afraid. When India, Odisha had one patient, we have quarantine zone and containment zone. When there is 1.5 lakh people, we have unlocked it, because we know the pandemic doesn't die. People become more brave. So if we take it in a sportive manner, my point is that do not underestimate the strength of your enemies. Know the weakness of your enemy and strength of your enemy. Be careful for the weakness and fight the strength. So what we have done, we have known the weakness of our and fight with our strength. We don't tell our enemy what is the weakness we have got. We say what strength we have got. So we, with all strength, fought COVID, and it is controlled now. Let us pray Almighty that there should be no second, third wave, what other part of the world is suffering. Luckily, we have started already vaccination. We are presuming by end of August, 300 million people will get vaccination. Maybe by end of the December, half of the Indian population will be have at least 2 doses of COVID vaccine. Let us hope that we will conquer the disease and come out colorful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And there is no more questions, Grover sir.
Yes, please.
I think now you can proceed for the next agenda.
All right, Shukriya. Thank you very much, Professor Mahapatra. Once again, we appreciate your time, your guidance.
I must thank all of you for your patient hearing, and I have given so many lectures. I think there is non-interruption. Nobody had on the mic, because most of the time in a webinar, lot of people who have background noise because they don't mute it. We can see the grandchildren giving coffee or wife is calling for food. I think you are most disciplined audience I have seen. Thank you very much. God bless all of us. Thank you very much.
Once again, a big round of applause to Dr. Mahapatra once again.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, Dr. Grover, Vishwal, and Praveen, and all, and our Mr. Rawat, and all the people from our own government embassy. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Grover, can I say a word?
Please go ahead.
Dr. Swain from UK.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yes. I am hearing.
I just wanted to say that those who are, every word was words of wisdom. We are very lucky to have Professor Mahapatra. He's like Bhishma Pitamaha. I can, with humility and gratitude, express there are about 15 people in all Odia Doctors Conference. He has given more information than we 15 could have given, with all humility. And he has given the picture not only of the disease, but the life and what is going to come. We are very grateful, sir. Every word that came out from your mouth is wisdom, not only for Odisha, for the whole world. And we are really grateful to have you in Odisha, and may Lord Jagannath bless you forever, giving us the right direction and right path, not only to Odisha, to the whole world.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I believe Lord Jagannath stay all your heart, and your blessing is more than Lord Jagannath blessing for me. I hope all of you bless me, so that Jagannath blessing will be less required than your blessing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Now we would like to move on to the next last session of the webinar, which is to update our audience what is happening.
Sir, please unmute your mic.
All right. Now we will move to the last section of the webinar where we want to update about the isolation center, which is managed by SABHA and Indo Eye Care team. I'll request Biswalji to please go ahead and update the audience.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief. First of all, let me thank on behalf of SABHA to Dr. and Professor Ashok Mahapatra ji for a great lecture, great webinar, and great informative for all of us. And we are really grateful. Thank you, Dr. Mahapatra, once again. We'll have a formal vote of thanks.
I thank you also. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. With your permission, we'll have the tail end of the program. It will take 7 to 10 minutes maximum. I request you to be there.
Here, I will hear. I will hear. I have interest to see what is happening.
So I will request our working committee member, Mr. Anupam Ghosalji, just to update about the SABHA Isolation Center. Then I'll request Chief Grover to speak about how our people, community members not coming to the isolation center immediately, they are getting treated in their house, which should be avoided. That is the second one. Third one, we have one of our mentor, Mr. Dinesh Rathiji. He like to speak some few words, then followed by a vote of thanks by Pravinji. So I'll request first Mr. Ghosal Sahab, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, friends. Small
Sir,
update.
Please on your video.
Good afternoon, friends. Small update on the SABHA Indo Eye Care facility that we are using for the COVID-19 isolation and treatment center. As we all know, we reopened this center on 13th of January, and from that time till date, 105 patients have been admitted, and till date around 72 people have been released. So first of all, we should congratulate ourselves for being a part of of all these 105 people's life. Secondly, in the isolation center, during this period, oxygen requirement has been tremendous. Like on an average, every day we are needing almost 20 to 25 oxygen cylinders for the treatment center. And we have been coordinating with POC and African foundries who are also giving us some, free supplies and all. So that is a big logistics challenge. We are also getting help from different companies on the vehicles part so that we can, use that for transporting the oxygen cylinders. We have almost 11 doctors and, so many nurses and medical professions attached to the isolation center every day. Medicine is being supplied by MOH, but sometimes there are shortages. Those shortages are being fulfilled by us because of the cooperation that we are getting from IPPIN. And then also we are running the ambulance services, and day and night 24-hour service is there from our side on the ambulance, which is being, and the which has a qualified nurse attached to the ambulance at any point of time with an oxygen supply. So in case patients need oxygen during the transit, that is also available for them. On the top of it, food is a very important issue for the patients. So for the food services, HSS is doing a wonderful service. Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh is doing a very wonderful service, providing food for the patients. Right now, the dinner services are being provided by from Gurdwara, courtesy to the Sikh Samaj. And also the breakfast is being provided by Blue Ocean Global Foundations. So as a result, the food is being supplied regularly on a daily basis, healthy, pौष्टिक food, and which is also helping the patients there. We have also recently, installed some music systems there so that, some bhajans or some, songs can be played and all, which can help the mental health of the patients. And we thank all of you for your contributions and for your support that we have been able to coordinate this huge exercise on a daily basis. And I thank all of my colleagues in the working committee for providing, this support and time, along with all the Samaj heads, the SABHA and the corporate organizations who have come forward with their donations and support for this noble cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Dada. Chief, can you briefly mention, like you have mentioned yesterday with all Samaj presidents, please,
Yes.
about our conditions of the patients?
Yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar once again. I would like to specifically discuss a recent information which came to us from the NCDC and Ministry of Health. Every day, the private labs or the government-run labs, they collate their data and they compile how many patients are tested positive, how many patients are under treatment. So the recent information which is reaching to us is not a healthy sign. Currently, more than 200 Indian citizens have been found positive in last 2 weeks in Lagos, either through the private labs or through the government-run public labs. But if you look at only maybe 40 or 50 patients are admitted in isolation center or some private hospitals, that clearly tells that people are still in the denial mode. This is very unhealthy sign that our people are still disconnected from the reality and they are not aware that this disease can progress very fast into a bad situation. And people are still denying, and a lot of people are refusing to go and see the doctor, and they are doing home treatments or self treatment, self medications by talking to their friends in India over the WhatsApp. This disease cannot be treated on a WhatsApp manner. Every individual patient is a different clinical case. Every patient has a different type of challenges. So my advice would be, please do not do any self medications. Kindly do not delay in the house, because if you are hiding and doing self treatments in your house, actually you are putting more Indian community, more families, more friends at risk. And ultimately, this hiding, there's no stigma. Anybody can have COVID. Once upon a time, we will all go through COVID virus. So do not hide yourself. Come out, contact your doctor in Nigeria, here Lagos, visit the physician, let them examine you, check you up, and do the treatment under medical supervision. If you want to admit yourself, please contact any of the committee members of SABHA for admission in Indo Eye Care Isolation Center. Or if you want to admit anywhere else, please we are all there to help you. And to update again, which my colleagues have already mentioned, we have a SABHA and Indo Eye Care free ambulance services. The ambulance is donated by Keval Ram Chandrai Foundation, and SABHA is running free ambulance services. If anybody wants to be picked up from the house to be admitted in Indo Eye Care Isolation Center, we can render the services. Please contact any of the committee members. Please, this is a folded hand appeal. Do not do home medications, self-treatments without the doctor's supervision, because we are getting alarming calls sometimes where the patient's oxygen drops at a very alarming level. At that time, if you are calling us for admission, in few of cases in recent last 10 days, it was too little and too late, and the person died. Let's not do that. Let's help each other. Let's help the community if we want to stop the transmission of this disease in Lagos, in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Let me request our mentor Dinesh Rathiji is here to give a closing remark. Dinesh Rathi sir, before we go for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Biswalji, and thank you, Dr. Mahapatra. I think you spoke in a very simple way and explained everything about the current COVID crisis, and some of the learnings will be really useful to deal with the ongoing second wave which we are witnessing. I would like to thank Team SABHA along with Indo Eye Care, and well supported by so many Samajams and body corporates who have joined together to serve the community and mitigate the challenges which have been posed to us with this disease. And I'm sure that our joint efforts will ensure that we don't let the fatalities or casualties rise to an alarming number. We would try to manage this situation with a joint effort and cooperation from everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dinesh ji. Grover Saab, next agenda, please throw Praveen ji. Vote of thanks, please.
I'll request Shri Praveen ji to come forward and appreciate the audience and our guest speaker and convey the vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Grover Saab, for your wonderful. You are doing wonderful moderator now. Now you are a very good moderator for the medical webinar, certified moderator by SABHA. So all protocol observed. All protocol observed, sir. On behalf of SABHA, I express our gratitude to respected Mr. Rachit Rawatji, Second Secretary and Head of Chancery in Lagos, and Mr. Vipul Masaria ji. He has newly joined in our High Commission office as a first secretary political in Abuja. Sir, thank you very much for your presence here in our webinar, along with all the officials of High Commissioner office in Abuja and Lagos as well. On behalf of SABHA and entire Indian community, sir, I record our deep appreciation and gratitude to you, sir, Professor Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra, for your insightful session on the topic COVID-19 pandemic overview and current status. Really, it was a very, very simple and very understandable by the community, sir. And we look forward to call you again on our diaspora after COVID-19, not before, sir. Really, it is an amazing session, and it is a worth to take away from for our healthy life and regular life, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your valuable time for your busy schedule, and we are overwhelmed to see you here this time and in future also, sir. On behalf of SABHA, I record our sincere gratitude to Mr. Anil Gopwani ji, Mr. Siva Subramaniam ji, and of course Mr. Dinesh Rasi ji is here. These three are our COVID-19 project mentor. So thank you very much, sir. And presidents of all Samajam and Indian origin organizations. We have 30 plus Samajam and Indian organization here, as Mr. Ramesh Biswal has mentioned in the welcoming note. All representatives of the corporate houses, our working committee members, and our participating members. We also a special thanks to Chief Grover for being moderator for this session. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, and your direct or indirect support is always recommendable. I thank all participants, guests, and invitees for showing their interest to participate our regular Zoom meeting under People Awareness Program. This is the 24th webinar, and everybody is listening like that, what our chief guest has appreciated today. Very, very sincerely, the viewers we have in Lagos. Thank you so much for all participants. Once again, thank you very much to all who assembled online from India, and other part of globe through Zoom meeting or YouTube live. Today's participation was 100 and near about 50 participants in YouTube live. So thank you everyone. Finally, SABHA extend its sincere appreciation, gratitude, and regard to one and all. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And there is a next announcement. next coming Saturday, very good webinar by Mr. Abhayanand, ex-DGP Bihar. He is going our Indian language school students, and this program was associated with in this will be a very good topic, that the school life in this COVID time. So he is a good speaker and very good motivator to the students, and he was the founder member of Super 30 institute in Bihar and in India. So please join that awareness program also. This is a different type of awareness program, and it will be very, very nice and insightful. So thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ramesh ji. Thank you once again, Dinesh ji, Anupam ji, and all the Indian High Commission officials. Thank you very much, sir. So the now only 2 minutes, I am opening this platform for the everyone for their interaction to each other. After that, I am going to close this webinar till 13th of February. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Praveen ji. Well done. Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Dinesh ji.
Thanks, Mr. Rachit, for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sabha, Chief Grover, Ramesh ji, Ms. Rathi, Dr. Mohapatra, especially, and all the respected members. Thank you very much. A very well organized session. Really insightful, and thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ajay ji. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Al साहब नमस्ते.
नमस्ते सर. नमस्ते जी.
कहाँ थे सर? आपको तो मैं ढूंढ रहा था बहुत देर से.
सर मैं टेम्पल, आज हमारा टेम्पल में प्रोग्राम था और वहाँ पे एक्चुअली इंटरनेट काफी वीक था, तो
अच्छा,
मैंने लॉग इन किया 1-2 बार, फिर